All right, it's been a long time coming. Yes, that strike by medics is finally upon us, and it is not good. All doctors and nurses have downed their tools, hitting public hospitals hard. The government somehow believes they can play games with the medics. So here we are. Good evening and welcome to News Sources, the highlights.
Nilikuwa nimekuja kutibiwa. Sasa mtu amefanya nini? Si alipe daktari ili tutibiwe. Hata watu wamenjaa hapa, nilikuwa nimekuja kutibiwa na tumenjaa hapa watu. Hata mimi niko mgonjwa sana.
That the following members be forthwith expelled from the party. As many are of this opinion, say aye. Aye. As many are of contrary opinion, say no.
Good evening and welcome. I'm James Marr. Now it is day 2 of the doctors and nurses strike. Medics downed their tools following 3 years of failed promises by the government and dodging by the government, of course, of their collective bargaining agreement. The government was required in 2014 to settle the doctors' demands following years of push and pull. The collective agreement should see the highest doctor earn something close to 900,000 and the lowest about 300,000 shillings.
Strike until the harmonized collective bargaining agreement, harmonized, that is the term, harmonized collective bargaining agreement is one, signed by the government, 2, government keeps commitment from the treasury that there is money to fund this CBA, 3, SRC writes a letter saying it is not going to rush to court. It has allowed for the CBA to be implemented, and 4, the CBA is actually registered in court.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce my panel. Wahome Duku, advocate, karibu sana to the program. Once again, Anisho Dongo.
Thank you.
And Zakonia Otieno. Somewhere along this program, we'll be joined by Dr. Masi, who's been with us. And just to talk about the issues around, who saw this coming? All right, the panel, who saw this, the doctor strike coming and, you know, it was going to be a big thing?
I saw it coming. I mean, let's first of all see it this way. This strike is coming at a point when Kenyans, virtually all Kenyans, are dissatisfied with what is happening in the country. And you see, one may play games with doctor strike. I mean, teacher strike. You may play games with activists. You may play games with strikes by other kinds of groups. But when the issue touches on doctors and the health of the country, then the effects and the impact of it will be instant, and it will be to everyone. You see, when teachers go on strike, we know it's the pupils and students who feel it.
Yes.
But when the doctors are out there in the streets, we all feel it, and we all, whether you are sick, whether you all see these things coming. That's the worst part of it.
Mm-hmm. That is.
I think it's quite unfortunate that it's actually gone on for 2 days. I think we need to be a little bit more pragmatic in resolving such kind of issues, because now, according to reports, a few people have died and a few have escaped from hospital, and we are still playing hide and seek with such a sensitive issue. And I believe that the government need to step up and actually have this matter resolved as soon as possible. It's alleged that the union leaders actually went to meet the government officials, but they were kept waiting till they had to walk out. So I think that, for me, is bad taste from the government. It's not a good sign.
I saw it coming, and I think it's very, very sad that we have to lose lives so senselessly. And it just tells you that the system has collapsed. You see, when the system can't hold any longer, it has to collapse, and it has collapsed. That's what I have to say.
Mm-hmm. Gentlemen, is the political leadership in this country showing any sense of urgency, that this is something that is very serious and they're trying to do everything within their powers, to resolve this? Is anyone getting a sense and a feeling that this is something that the top leadership of this country says we're going to cancel anything, we want to meet the doctors halfway or where it matters most?
Sure. We would say they are showing some kind of urgency to it. You see, before the strike started, there was a ministers' meeting, late-night meeting by the minister and the PS. But what has been the problem all along is that there has been this exchange push and pull between the national government and the county government, whether it is in regard to equipment for hospitals, whether it is in regard to payments for doctors, everything that is health. Sometimes we are told health has been devolved, but at some point we see the national government playing a big hand, especially where the kitty is concerned. So, whereas we can say, yes, there has been the goodwill to try and resolve this at the very last minute, we can also say that this kind of an exchange, this kind of an argument between governors and the national government is what is ailing all this. And until that is addressed, and there are systems and ways of addressing it, then the core of the problem will not have been dealt with.
I think there's no sense of urgency from my end because the collective bargaining agreement that is actually in contention right now was signed in 2013. And of course, they've even gone to court and the government has lost. I think we don't need to be warned in 3 years in advance for people to die and for doctors to down their tools, because I think we're used to overreacting and to reacting to issues instead of us being, very, very pragmatic and trying to plan ahead. So there's no excuse whatsoever. The doctors should not have gone on strike. We should have started this conversation way, way before. Instead of us having it last minute, we know that actually the water has now overcome the ship and the ship is sinking. There's no urgency in the government at all. The urgency is to open roads worth 1.6 billion in Ukambani as they go for political rallies.
It's true. There's no urgency. And one thing I have to say is that why should we pay an MCA 350,000 shillings and pay a doctor less than 100,000? It doesn't make sense. So if there was agency, the president wouldn't have gone to Ukambani in the first place. He would have resolved this matter and taken it very seriously. Because people are dying.
All right.
And these are not just people. These are family members. They have children. They have parents. So they are part of the community.
Okay, let's stay with it. And it was a well-coordinated strike as doctors across the Republic downed their tools without the usual divisions. Okay, doctors and nurses say they have had enough of states' empty promises and propaganda. Their representatives read malice on the state's part. Take a listen.
Kama kuna njaa kubwa sana. Akiwa anahudumia mgonjwa, anashikwa na njaa, anaanguka chini.
All right.
So let me say, you see, if you ask those people who are doctors, old doctors, those who have practiced for years, they'll tell you there was a time when, if doctors went on strike, they would all be arrested. Just go and read history and the old reports. You'll see situations where doctors would be arrested. If you're on strike, you're arrested and taken to court, actually. This can't happen now. And we are saying that these things are happening at a time when the country can feel it. Everyone can feel that if people are stealing and they're not paying us, that's why people are saying, lipa kama tender. Pay us, you pay up front. So that once you call a strike like this one where the doctors have one union, they're able to organize themselves well, they're able to execute it, and the government can be prepared for this, unless they play around it and maybe do something with their leaders, which we wouldn't want to know what they would do with their leaders, maybe to divide them, but they can be prepared for this. This is going to happen. It's going to be a bit, as they proceed on, it's going to be a serious issue. Kenyans will suffer, they will feel it, and I don't know how it will end it all.
The question I want to ask the panel is, why are we treating health so casually like that? Why are we treating it like we're treating some quarry somewhere? Why are we treating it like we're treating it so casually? If you look at the budget and expenditure in terms of health, actually, it's 7% of our national budget. And actually, out of that money, the huge chunk of it comes from donors and comes from the people from their pockets. The government's commitment to health is actually very weak. We'd rather spend more money in defense, we'd rather spend more money in other areas like, recurrent expenditure, rather than saying, what, by the way, at the end of the day, the health of our people is what ultimately helps to move a country forward. But now think about it in the next 10 years. The moment we begin to show people who are doing their KCP, who have just done their KCP, and people who are going to do their KCC, that, doctors are not paid well. They actually paid 40,000 shillings as introductory pay. Having gone through school for 7 years, dealt with, 6 years, dealt with all this manner of things that you go through. Are we now going to see a scenario where we're going to have to import doctors to come and treat our own in the next 20 years? Now, if the apathy that is going to continue...
But we can't pay our own doctors. So I don't think we can even...
Why can't we pay our own doctors?
We can't ship doctors from...
Is it because we don't have the money? Or it's because the money...
Perhaps we don't have the money.
Place priorities.
No, we have the money. And then the question we should be asking, how much does every county spend on health? You see, most of these counties, the amount they have, they spend on what we call recurrent expenditure and trips to go and benchmark in Israel or wherever to go and see how irrigation is done, something that we can learn easily here in our schools. Now, let me say this. We are destroying a generation, and we are bringing up a generation of people who are very rebellious. And let me call it, there's a revolution coming. Let me say that.
You see, if you look at these clips, you see, I was looking at the newspaper and saw a police officer throwing a tear gas canister at a doctor. And I asked some colleagues, what kind of a country are we having? Is it a reversed country? You wouldn't imagine a police officer holding a tear gas canister and throwing at a doctor in the street. And just because this doctor has come out to demand his rights or her rights. But we are saying this, whether the government has money or it doesn't, the feeling out there in the public at this moment, and this is a feeling that first the government must address.
Yes.
That you people have money, you are able to walk out in bags of money from banks. Yes. You are able to buy equipment that is worth 1 million and pay upfront for 10 million shillings.
Yes.
Then who will ever convince the public that has that mentality, that this government has no money? That is, whether they have or they don't,
because
we out there believe.
That's the question I was going to go next. Does the government really have money? I mean, we've heard about, delayed salaries. We've heard about the stretch, sending money to the counties and that sort of thing. So really, if you're talking about them, the strength, then it's really there. I mean, other than corruption.
There's a lot of money, because right now we've actually been traveling across African countries trying to convince them to support our bid for our own to become the
well, we have that money, that I agree.
We actually have a lot of money, and we're flying around. We actually have money to treat people until the budgets instead of are able to go overboard. We have money to do every single thing and to actually deliver tender that has been just, kulipa haraka. But then why is it that the most important parts of our country are neglected? I think, for me, it's not even about Jubilee or Code agenda. It's about us, the nation, trying to ask ourselves questions. Are we having the right strategy? Are we really prioritizing well the money that Kenyans pay through taxes? Are we really prioritizing well? Okay, SGR is good. All these roads are good. But what if you have SGR with a sick population? Okay. What if you have roads that are excellently well, but our hospitals are dilapidated and they're in bad shape, and our doctors are being tear gassed in the streets?
All right.
Terrible. Shame.
Let's keep at it. And of course, it is patients that suffer when the medics leave the clinics and hospitals. Patients and their families were left to tell tales to journalists about their pain and sufferings. Still, some sided with the medics, telling of the government on their poor handling of the doctors' general welfare.
Nilikuwa nimekuja kutibiwa, sasa mtu amefanya nini? Si alipe daktari ili tutibiwe. Hata watu wamenjaa hapa, nilikuwa nimekuja kutibiwa na tumenjaa hapa watu, hata mimi niko mgonjwa sana. Sasa mtu tutafanya nini wewe? Tunakuja hapa tunalipa pesa.
There we have it. We have patients, and this is something that, I mean, I've had statistics that today 9 people have died, and obviously the families will put the blame on the doctor strike. So how do we look at it? I mean, people always die in hospitals, yes. So how do we look at it?
I used to say, okay, my elder sister is a doctor. Yes. She's older than me by far. But I used to say some time back that if I was a doctor myself, I don't think I would go on strike. That's me, that's personal.
Yes.
But this kind of a feeling that we want doctors. You see, a common man out there knows he is paying taxes, she is paying taxes. She can see this is a situation that was negotiated, a CBA that was negotiated for 2014, okay, and registered. So that for such a person, for such a lady, all what she is wondering is, where are the doctors? Why am I here in hospital, held here, and I'm supposed to be treated, and I can't be treated? And then we go back to what I just said earlier, that, look, these are ladies who hears that people are stealing money from the government. So for her to balance the two status of mind, it becomes a bit difficult. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that is the kind of feeling that's across the country.
But right there is the fate of an ordinary Kenyan. When post-election violence happened, ordinary Kenyans died. When the doctors strike, ordinary Kenyans die. It is the fate of every ordinary Kenyan to die when the politicians are complacent enough to make decisions that are able to help the masses. When their own are sick, they are flown to South Africa, they are flown to expensive hospital abroad, and at the end of the day, we must begin to ask ourselves as ordinary Kenyans who have the NHIF card, some of us don't even have it, that are we able to sustain this kind of us being treated like the grass on the ground, and therefore when two bulls fight, it's us who then eventually come to a point. And I think 2017 is a chance for us to make the right decision and for us to decide that then it looks like the leaders we put in place will either tear gas us, they will either kill us, they'll either grab our land, they'll either steal money from us, and at the end of the day, they'll also not give us medical equipment. And therefore we'll ask ourselves, are these the same people who want to return, or are we going to make a decision and say we'd rather have one reformist who can change our country rather than have a bunch of crooks who then are able to take our country
James, the most refreshing thing about this strike is that nobody in government has come out to blame Raila Odinga for it. That's number one. Number two, I think we are talking about the doctors so much that we are forgetting the nurses. You see, even the policemen who are tear-gassing these medics, I'm sure they take their kids to public hospitals. So they also need to stop and think that when I'm unwell and I've tear-gassed a doctor, where am I going to go? It's something that just comes around.
I think the reason why we have not yet blamed Raila for this, and this is my own opinion, is because he hasn't
spoken about it.
He hasn't thrown his words in it.
Yeah.
The moment he throws his words in this,
everybody
we split up and we go to our different camps,
and then
either support him or attack him from whatever side we will be. And at some point when we are attacking him, we will make sure that he answers the reasons as to why. When he was there as a prime minister, we don't mention the president for obvious reasons. But the prime minister, we mention the vice president. We leave out the deputy prime ministers. We select like that, and we say, when you are there, what did you do about doctors? We just wait. He is going to talk about it.
But Smart, let us bring it back to the health sector. Do you know that in the region, we are actually a beacon of hope to people like South Sudan and Burundi? When they hear that when the elitists of their countries actually come to be treated in Kenya, they are seen as poor who have actually arrived, the poor have made it in life. And therefore, I think we shouldn't lose hope yet, because we have got a very robust industry. Our doctors are very trained, and we've got quite considerable good facilities in this country. Some of them are private. But if we're able to just pump more money and forget about petty politics and forget about Jubilee and Raila and all this called nonsense and just say that, okay, you know what, by the way, let us do one thing for our Kenyans. Let us make that level 5 hospital in the village to be a quality place where they can treat cancer, they can treat diabetes, and they can treat some of these ailments that are draining our people. And we can actually do it. This country can be a beacon of hope for the region. But then why is it that we are playing tricks and we are actually making a lot of, theatrics about this, and actually we're looking like...
And you see, Smart, talking about playing tricks, one of the union officials, that's Kenya National Union of Nurses, he said that a senior ministry official called him and told him, come so that we talk, you as you, not as an official of that union, and me as me, not as a government official. So that tells you he doesn't absolutely care about these people who are dying. To him, it's about protecting the image of the government. No matter what happens out there, he doesn't care.
Right.
And you see, that's the horrendous part of it all.
Okay, I'm sticking with the doctor strike. I need to take a very short break. You're watching News Sources. We still have plenty more of doctors coming up after the break. We're joined by Dr. Mercy Korir to just give us an in-look from a doctor's perspective. Don't go too far. This is News Sources.